This comes from a TechSpot. TechSpot is reporting indie developers say the Game Pass and Epic Game Store gravy train is over. Comments come via Slay the Spire and Darkest Dungeon developers. So one of the things that we've talked about on this channel before in regards of gaming is the Game Pass and the idea that this can't last forever, right? They can't just get games and give them free forever. There's got to be some sort of a return on investment for Microsoft. Indie developers have to be getting some kind of money in order for it to be exclusive, and it's probably not going to work out in the long term. And it looks like that's coming to a head now. Let's see. It says the big picture for small developers, the compensation Microsoft provides to host a game on Game Pass, or what Epic Games pays to keep a title temporarily exclusive to its PC game launcher, can be a crucial safety net. However, comments from a GDC 2024 indicate that offers from both companies have significantly decreased, suggesting a transition on the horizon. According to the studios behind Slay the Spire, which is a good game, I like Slay the Spire, and Darkest Dungeon, don't like that one so much. Multiple indie developers at GDC 2024 claim that funding offers from Microsoft and Epic Games have drastically diminished. The cause is unclear, but the video game market has recently encountered serious economic headwinds. Well, it's exactly what I said, right? Microsoft, if nobody's playing these games, right? Microsoft was buying games, paying for games that were sitting in their Game Pass unplayed, right? And they still were giving developers money. Money was exchanging in order for it to just get into the Game Pass, and then they get extra money when it's played, and there's like a whole thing. Same thing with the Epic games, right? They were offering cash for exclusivity, but if those games weren't selling, right, you basically were giving developers free money, and then they would take it to another platform and then sell through on that other platform better than what they did at Epic Games. So Epic Games was not actually gaining anything from these exclusivity contracts, right?
So what you're saying is Epic Games is like holding everybody hostage.
No, what Epic Games was hoping, they were hoping that if they would get like some hot titles, get them exclusive, people would come over from Steam to Epic Games Store, right? Yeah. But people were just going, just wait. And so they were spending all this money and no one was coming over. So it was like, it was a waste of money, right? So the plan they tried, like I said, they tried it. It seemed like a good plan because everyone's always claiming exclusives, right? This is what gets people to go to your platform, but it wasn't working. Epic Games thought Fortnite would make people switch over, yeah.
Shout out Father Hostage. And we'll never be directionists, like you said.
Never. Now, Microsoft doing what Microsoft do, pump and dump, never change Microsoft. Meanwhile, Steam selling indie titles like the AAA titles. Yeah. Who cares? Skyrim belongs to the Nords. Yeah. I like playing as the either the Khajiit or the Argonians.
Argonians, yeah.
Yeah. But I'm biased. I don't like playing as humans. Always, whenever there's a game, I'm not a furry, I promise you. But whenever there's a game where my choice is like normal human or like weird creature, I'm like, I want to play as a weird creature, right?
It's always weird creatures, yeah. I go with orcs. Or if I'm going to play a human, he has to be a vampire or a werewolf.
I didn't like the vampires and werewolves, how they handled them in Skyrim.
Oh, yeah.
Because I was like, you could be a werewolf, but then like, nobody likes you. When you change, it goes from like first person to that like weird third person view, and then
you can't move the camera anymore. I remember now.
Yeah, you can't move the camera. The weapons
don't
work.
Loot, you can't do anything.
Some of the doorways you couldn't get through because your guy was too big.
You can't fit through anything. Yeah.
Yeah. And the same thing with like the vampires. Like, you get cool vampire powers, but only as you lose. When you suck blood, you revert back to like level 1 vampire. So you have to stop sucking blood.
You have to stop feeding to become more powerful. That was weird.
Yeah. unless you had the new expansion that lets you be the vampire lord, and then like that did the same thing. Oh, it's a third person fucking view again. I just hate it. Pre or post update. I haven't seen if they did a new update, but these were like when they first got introduced.
I think he was talking about Dawnguard, where you become the vampire lord.
Yeah, even that was stupid because, like I said, it's third person again, and
it's like a werewolf, but you're a bat. We didn't watch Underworld at all.
All right, what are we talking? We're talking indie developers. Hold on, let's get back to this. MegaCrit co-founder Casey Yano stated that at least 5 small developers at the event mentioned numerous budget cuts and funding cancellation from big publishers. In some cases, funding partners pulled out even after year-long negotiations. Damn. So Yano and Darkest Dungeon director Chris Burassa reported that Microsoft has approached far fewer indies with offers to host their titles on Game Pass. Burassa also mentioned that Epic Games has scaled down its strategy of financing indies in exchange for exclusivity on its storefront. Says, although the practice of launching games exclusively on the Epic Game Store is unpopular with many customers who prefer sticking to Steam, it provides some developers with a financial cushion by helping them quickly recoup costs. I think, and this might be a controversial opinion, but I think Epic Games cutting back on this is going to help the industry. I think a lot of games, like they said, it was like this cushion. It was allowing indie developers to just pump out games. It wasn't really the market deciding whether these games live or die, right? It was like, oh, it's like an artificial market because, Epic Games gave us money. So now the game exists, but it really shouldn't because the market really didn't demand it, right? The market wasn't really behind this game.
With this happening, finally the market gets to decide.
Yeah. Now, Robco says, I got Trump VR game off Steam where it gives you tiny hands. You can't beat this extra insurance can be crucial for small teams that might depend on the success of the one game. Well, I mean, sink or swim, right? Industry-wide challenges could be to blame for the downward trend. Numerous game companies, including Microsoft and Epic, have contributed to a historic wave of layoffs. So further cost-cutting comes as no surprise. Unfortunately, it's potentially coming at the expense of smaller studios. Sink or swim. I said this before. Look, you can make a good game. Make a good game that's popular, right? We've seen it. We've seen small indie companies, indie studios develop games that people want to play that become big hits, right? Fall Guys. What the hell is that one? Among Us. There's a lot of titles that come out of nowhere from indie companies, right? The games that aren't doing well are the ones that are like, oh man, I really want to tell the story of this wheelchair-bound lesbian African-American Mongolian chick in the 12th century, right? Microsoft gave me money so I could just make this game. No one buys it. No one wants it. No one wants to play. Sorry. That's just the way it is, right? All these weird games that's like, yeah, for you, you're like, oh, I want to make this thing, right? Because it's close to my heart or it's my vision. Well, sorry, gamers don't jive with your vision, right? Sometimes I just want to shoot zombies in a mindless wave of, gore and violence. And I don't need a story about, someone's upbringing and how they overcome abuse in a drunken father, right? I don't play games for that. I mean, Mario didn't have that, right? So I can see.
What the sad thing is, like they think they can, culturally engineer people into buying that shit. It's never going to work because there's always going to be an international market. There's always going to be motherfuckers like me who aren't buying your shit. Even if, let's say, the entire US ended up brainwashed. It can't happen outside the US.
Epic Games also gave over 300 games since they launched. Yeah, giving away free games is not a good thing. I use the same approach to parenting. Ooh. All right, it says Game Pass and Epic Games Store has faced uphill battles that generous rounds of funding haven't been able to overcome. Microsoft subscription services hasn't acquired new paying customers as quickly as initially hoped. Xbox head Phil Spencer also noted that the console market as a whole hasn't experienced significant growth in the last couple of years. Meanwhile, the Epic Game Store hasn't achieved profitability after 5 years of operation. 5 years, Epic Game Store
Jesus.
floundering.
Well, we both know why. There's always Steam.
Steam dominates the market. And also, they're saying there's no console market growth. Nintendo Switch would beg to differ, right? Nintendo Switch outselling both Microsoft and Sony. And really, I think Microsoft and
Nintendo
Sony
are clever because they do things that they give you things that the PC can't do. They have exclusives. They have all of that going for them.
I think it's the exclusives. I think they have the strongest first party of any console, right? Mario, worldwide brand, Zelda, or Metroids, and then all the other titles they have that the Animal Crossings and all that. They have such a strong library that people love. People will buy a Switch just to play the new Nintendo, just to play the new Zelda, right? Whereas I don't think, not a lot of people are like, oh man, I really need to play that Last of Us, right? I got to buy a PlayStation 5 for that new Last of Us. No, it's more like I got a PlayStation 5. I might as well play The Last of Us. I don't think it's I'm getting the PlayStation because of The Last of Us. People will deny it. They'll say I'm wrong. There'll be like one guy who'll be like, yeah, no, I bought it because of no, you don't count. Sorry. The majority of people are not doing that. So I think Sony and Microsoft need to look to Nintendo, understand what they're doing, build a strong first-party title, and not worry so much about huge graphics, huge budgets of games, right? Make a good game. Make a good, fun game that people are going to play.
Like Xbox back in the day, Halo.
Yeah. Actual fandoms here says, Lowell, what would Tony have to talk about if not for made-up cartoonish examples of shit that doesn't exist? What the hell is he talking about? I'm literally reading an article from TechSpot. See, this is what I'm talking about. People just come in here. You seriously think The Last of Us doesn't have a massive fan base, Tony? No, I think The Last of Us has a
vocal
huge fan base.
Very
vocal.
Yeah.
But how many times has that thing been put out now? It's fucking like remasters, remakes, and everything. Yeah, if The Last of Us had a massive fan base, it would have fraction multiplayer already. Yeah.
The only thing that's keeping it alive now is the TV series.
And again, I have PlayStation. I've never played a Last of Us game. They gave me free Last of Us shit. I never played that. So Microsoft wanted Bethesda to be those console exclusive titles that drive engagement, but the entire planet got tired of its formula at once. Yeah. Anyway, let's finish this bad boy up. It says, still, both services are showing signs of progress. Epic is preparing to launch its store on iOS in Europe after Apple banned and then unbanned the company following the debut of European Union's Digital Markets Act. Game Pass recently received Diablo 4, the first major addition resulting from Microsoft's $69 billion acquisition of Activision Blizzard. And how well has Diablo drove engagement?
Oh, wow. Exactly. Didn't mean shit.